Let's take a look at some of the new amp models in firmware 3.8 for the HX Stomp. There are models of the Fender Super Reverb normal and vibrato channels, and then models of the Bogner Ecstasy red and blue channels, and the PV5153 EVH blue and red channels. We'll start out with this Super Vibe over here. I'm using an amp and cab block, so I've got the matching cabs here, 4x10 US Super. I'm just using the 121 ribbon mic in there. Let's add a little bit of a high cut and a low cut in there, somewhere around 10K for the high cut, 74 Hertz for the low cut. This is the neck pickup of a Fender Player 2 Strat. I like that with the drive cranked up on there for a sort of dirtier style Fender sound. You can hear it gets saggy and a little bit crusty, especially with the Les Paul. But that's got some nice character in there. Let's go over to some high gain stuff now. We'll start out with these 5153 models. So this is the blue channel on here. And like the real amps, you're going to crank the presence on these, in my opinion anyway. So I've got the presence up around 9. These have loads of gain. We'll just start with it with a gain at around 5. I will chuck in a pre-EQ boost on top of here and maybe some micro pitch and delay while we're going. But on the bridge pickup of this Les Paul Custom, let's hear the Panama Red now. I'm using my free cab IR with these high gain amps. You can grab it in the video description. High cut at 8K, low cut at 80 Hertz, fairly straightforward. This one has a lot of gain. one goes straight to the top of the list for high gain amps in the Helix for me. It feels great. There's plenty of gain on tap, and I actually like being able to run the gain lower on an amp like this. I'm guessing because of the way they're designed and with the bright cap involved, you run the gain a little bit lower and everything's going to be a bit tighter. I don't really feel the need to run a pre-boost in front of that, but we should try it with a pre-boost. Let's go and add, I don't know, from my favorites, let's come over here. We can use the EQ boost that we had before, or I'm sure I've just got a tube screamer in here. This should be pretty ridiculous. Let's have a listen to that on the bridge pickup. That's pretty mental. I think if you're into the chugga-chug tones, you're really going to enjoy that red channel on there. Let's go to the German Extra Blue. So this is a model of a Bogner Ecstasy, and I really like that they have modeled all the various switches which would come on the real amp, like the bright switch, the boost, the structure switch, the depth being tight, medium, or loose, the style. You can have triode, pentode, class A or class B. That's awesome having all of that baked into a single model on here. Let's start with the boost off, the bright on B1. I'm fairly certain these are pretty close to the stock settings. So you've got a lot of options in there. Again, kind of like those 5153 models. If you're using a darker sounding guitar or a darker sounding IR, don't be afraid to crank up the treble and presence on there. That's pretty true to form to the real amps. And with the depth, I would personally have preferred just like a depth control on there. But again, this is true to the amp. Tight is going to give you less volume. Loose is going to give you a lot more volume and low end on there. So just compensate accordingly on there. Having the low boost and the low structure is kind of like old Marshall-ish, almost like JTM 45 or 50 watt Plexi vibes there. As you turn them on, you get a lot more gain and it's a lot more modern. So let's go over to the Ecstasy Red as the last one. Similar options on here. Let's start with the medium depth on there, the boost off and the structure low. I'll play around with the bright cap options to get started. I like all of these high gain models, but particularly that red channel of the Ecstasy and the red channel of the 5153. I think because there's just so much gain on tap right there. To me, if you're into your sort of hair metal or maybe your early 90s, like Alice in Chains, Soundgarden style stuff, you might like the Ecstasy models a little bit more. If you're more of a, let's say, early 2000s fan, like you're into new metal, you're into metalcore, you're into prog metal and things like that, the 5153s are absolutely going to cover you. They have so much controllable gain on there, and they're all really satisfying to play as well. The other thing that I think is cool with units like the Stomp, or the whole Helix ecosystem really, because it is a bit of an ecosystem, right? They have the Stomp XL, the HX1, there's the original Helix, there's the Rack, there's the LT, there's the plug-in on there, is that these have been out for a considerable amount of time now, and they are still adding new features, adding a bunch of sort of high-end amps like they have here. I think is going to be appreciated by a lot of people. Again, they don't have to be doing any of this. It's a free update. Complaining about free updates always feels a bit rich, but one thing that I would like to see maybe in another update, I love the delays in the Helix, but there's no 2290 style delays, so it would be cool to see the Line 6 take on that, kind of the way they did an authentic DM2, and then they have the Adriatic delay, which is like an expanded DM2. Be really curious to know what the designers at Line 6 would come up with if they took a 2290 style delay and just ran with it, because the delays, the modulations in here, I think are a real strong suit, and having those extra amps in there just adds more value to it. Let me know what you're enjoying in this update on here. I will put these presets up on my Gumroad store. I did a preset pack about a week ago, probably less than that by the time this video goes up. So I will add these presets that I put together on here to that pack. If you've already got the pack, just go back and re-download it and you'll get all these new features and my free IR and my favorites list on here. It goes a long way to supporting what I do here on the channel. There's also links to my Patreon and the music that I make with my band Ragdoll in the video description. Go and make some noise with your guitars, and I will see you all next time.